We are starting. We are starting. We are starting. We are starting. At exactly 7:30. Get a pen and a notebook. Exactly 7:30. Get a pen and a notebook. So, uh, and we say that for you to see properly, you need to change your orientation from portrait to landscape. Is as easy as that? Change your orientation from portrait to landscape. And we say that the best way. Let me see. Let me see if I can do away with this echo. We have some echo here. Mm. So you guys, you should know how to change the orientation from portrait to landscape so that your screen your screen will be better. Okay. Uh, as we wait for the lake to come, we can be able to we can try and maybe
Maybe
just
just
sorry for that. Mm. So this is a fully online course. We should know that. Okay. This is a fully online course, and learning takes place in the e-learning. Why? Let me not type in caps. Let me not type in tabs. Mm. Learning takes place in e-learning, the e-learning portal. Okay. So what we do is that we just meet here for troubleshooting, and this online lesson should not take more than 1 hour and 30 minutes. So we want to start, just try to reflect what we covered some time back. Lesson one, want to reflect what we covered in lesson one, uh, what we covered in lesson two. As the lecturer comes in, we shall be able to start lesson three, and also as we plan for maybe a CAT and a continuous assessment test. We covered about lesson one was all about computer generations. For those maybe who joined late, lesson one we covered about computer generations. In this lesson, we are able to discover the milestone uh, computers have been able to evolve. Someone's talking about volume. I think my volume's not bad. Increase your volume. Yeah. Just like human being, we evolved from Zinjanthropus, Biopithecus, Kenyapithecus. For those who know history, isn't it? Neanderthal man, I don't know if I can remember. Ramapithecus, Egypt, I don't know. Yeah. So also computers have followed the same. The first man was big, has big brain. He used crude weapons. Okay. And he was so, I don't know, uncivilized. They wear cloth skin, some were wearing leaves. But as we have been progressed from the Homo pithecus, Zinjanthropus, eh, and now we are now the real now Gen Z. The same approach also computers has been evolved from the first generation. Let me see my volume. Some of you are complaining about the volume. Let me just try. Hopefully, I'll not come up with an echo.
Oh,
Let me see.
let me see.
Uh,
Uh,
my volume, my volume,
my volume.
I think it's better.
I think it's better.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, I
better.
think that's better. That's better.
Ah,
Ah,
I'm now clear.
I'm
You
now
see,
clear. You see,
guess where I am?
guess where I am?
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
So I was
So I
saying the
was
way
saying the
human
way
being
human
evolved
being
from
evolved from
Zinjanthropus
Zinjanthropus
to now we have
to now
Gen
we
Z.
have Gen Z.
Okay, you
Okay,
see,
you see,
Zinjanthropus
Zinjanthropus were
uncivilized generation.
uncivilized generation.
Uh, they
Um,
use
they
smoke to
use smoke to
communicate,
communicate.
but there's an
But
echo.
there's an echo.
There's still an
There's
echo.
still an echo.
So what will I
So
do with
what
this
will I
echo
do with
now?
this echo now?
Just
Just hold on.
I try and
I try
do
and
away with this
do
echo.
away with this echo.
But it's now
But it's
clear
now
compared to
clear
earlier
compared
on,
to
right?
earlier on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me try and
Let me
see.
try and see. Yeah, I'm I'm trying to run away from the echo so that you can get me clear. Yeah, I think we can continue. So yeah, I will respond to other items. I have seen some items. Some of you are asking on attendance. Just hold on. We shall have a look at that. Let us concentrate with the real thing first. Okay. So we have realized that computers were very huge in size. That's the first generation. Um, what you should be able to note down, you should be able to note down the year of that generation. Just the same way uh, human generation we have the year of existence. So when it comes to computer generations, you should be able to note down where did the first generation exist, which year, from which year to another year. Um, Also, you should be able to realize the size. The first generation was bigger. They consumed a lot of maybe energy. Consuming a lot of energy made them to release a lot of heat, and that complications also made them vulnerable to failure. So you see that you see that uh, as they produce a lot of heat, a lot of electricity, you see they were prone to fail, and also you see they had higher maintenance costs. Also, you realize that these first generation computers were just calculators. They were used to compute just numerical value. And we say that example of these first generation were ENIAC and ENVAC. So when you get a term like ENVAC and ENIAC on exam paper, don't be flabbergasted. Okay, so we have mentioned that items that you should consider is the year of existence. Maybe you can call it year of existence. Also, you should be able to mention the size. Were they, maybe what was the size? Um, so these are some of the items you are supposed to know when you are mentioning a generation of computer. Also, you are supposed to mention what was the processor used. You have seen that the first generation were using what vacuum tubes, right? Also, you also to mention the language this generation were using. Just like a human being, you see, first generation, the Zija troopers, those guys, rumors have it that they were just whistling. Some of them, they were just, they were, I don't know, yeah. So, okay, I'm just trying to, yeah, yeah. So don't be flabbergasted when you come across these terms. So you see, like the first generation were using what's called machine language, right? And in exam, you see, even computers have their languages. Let us assume Zinjatropas, maybe maybe Zinjatropas, they were doing sign language. Then they start whistling. Then maybe Kenyapiticas, they were chanting like monkeys. Then we have our millennials that we speak fluently. Then we have Gen Z that use slang. If someone is don't know Nakulombotov, something like those, isn't it? Even these computers had their languages. So, like the first generation, they were running on machine language, and someone can ask you what's a machine language. We shall be able to dive into computer languages later on, but what you should know, we have what's called machine language. uh, Then we have what's called assembly language. Assembly language. These are some computer understand. Then we have high level language. High level language. Uh, so machine language and assembly language, these are all that we can call it as a low level language. Low level language is the language that a computer understands. Then we have high level language, which is maybe human can understand. So every time we talk to a computer can be able to translate high level language to assembly language, then to machine language that it it understand. So it means that computer only understand machine language. Yeah. So what I mean, when you are mentioning these generations, you better mention which language these these computers use. Also, remember to mention the memory or the storage devices, okay, that this generation used to store data. You can as well mention the input devices, like maybe the first generation were using punched card, second generation, I don't know, they use keyboard, there's introduction of mouse, there's introduction of maybe GUI graphicals, yeah. So you should be able to mention about input and output devices were used in that generation. Also, remember to mention what was the speed. Like the first generation were very slow, okay? Then came the second generation was faster than the first generation. Yo, so those are some of the items that you must be able to master, okay? You must be able to master. Uh, you must be able to master the when mentioning the computer generations. Let me try and share that. Mm. So let us have a look at these generations. Just briefly, within 5 minutes, I'll be through. So those are computer generations in a nutshell. These are the computer generations in a nutshell. You can see first generation was very huge. It was manual, it uses switches, it uses punch cards, it produces a lot of heat, prone to failure. Yeah. Then now came the second generation that maybe use transistor vacuum tubes. We had now the third generation that uses integrated circuits. Then we have the fourth generation that uses high integrated circuit. And then we have the fifth generation where we have the wearables, smart devices, more of your mambo ya Man City na Man U wachana nayo. Let us focus. It's very good to focus. This unit, someone asked me why are we studying this? You know, as an intellectual, as someone who has gone through the university, you should have some knowledge when it comes to digital literacy. So, why are we teaching you this unit? You know, this is the 21st century, and in 21st, as a 21st century learner, you should know technology. And the best way to know technology, you should know what a computer is, how a computer works. Because even now, currently, computers are everywhere. So this is a fundamental unit that prepare you, update your memory, and making you ready to know that now in this digital era, you must know how a computer works as part of the curriculum. Sure. Then computers have evolved from large size to simple calculating machines. Okay. Now we have very smart watches that you can browse, very small and yet powerful. Uh, so first generations, you see, they were very large. Now we have very simple, smart machines that are more powerful. And the evolution of computers to the current state is defined in the generations of the computers. And each generation of computers is designed based on the new technological development. And this technological development has resulted to a better, cheaper, and smaller computers that are more powerful, they are faster and efficient than their predecessors. So, like when you compare the way now we have Gen Alpha, okay? You see Gen Alpha, the way Gen Alpha behaves and how our forefathers behaves a bit different. They are smart, yeah. So the same way you have seen that computers has evolved, and what has changed is that they are better. That is faster and efficient. They are also cheaper. They are smaller. They are more powerful. They are more faster and efficient than their predecessors. Right? Currently, we have 5 generations of computers. In the following subsections, we will discuss, I think we are just going to revise what we have covered. And when we are mentioning about these generations members, remember to mention about the speed, the physical appearance, the applications, year of generation, size, the processor, the language, the memory, the input and speed. Okay. We have the first generation. We said that they were using vacuum tubes. They were using vacuum tubes. Na wewe mtu uko kwa university, sasa mtu akikuuliza what's a vacuum tube, utamwambiaje? What's a vacuum tube? Where? don't don't confuse a vacuum tube and a fallopian tube. Unajua sasa wewe uta nini kwa mtihani atakwambia what was the process of the first generation, then mistake useme they were using fallopian tubes, kitakulamba. So what I want to advise you members, mwanafunzi ukikuwa kwa university you are supposed to be a researcher. Okay, you are supposed to be a researcher. When you heard about a new term, make make Google your friend. Okay, and don't wait for the notes or maybe for the lecture to come and teach you. Okay, so once you get something the lecturer has mentioned, or when you have come across a new term in the notes, now we have internet. Try to Google, try to search, even go to YouTube. Be anxious, okay? Be curious. Just go to YouTube, search how does vacuum tubes work. But ukikaa tu unasikia for vacuum tube, nafika kwa exam akili napotea, you start mentioning about fallopian tube. Shenzi kabisa. So what I mean is that as an intellectual, kama mtu mwenye ako kwa university, be a researcher, okay? Improve your knowledge. Mm. Apart from being a researcher, form discussion groups, 2, 3, or 4 members, maximum 5. Schedule maybe once in every week. Have this lecture notes, have a discussion, look for the past papers, revise. Ukikaa tu hapa hivi ukingediangedia, my friend, we are almost towards the end of the semester. By next month we shall be mentioning about exams. So we have said that the first generation evolved between 1940 to 1956. They use vacuum tubes. A vacuum tube is a sealed glass tube, okay, that allows free passage of electric current. And we have mentioned that they were using magnetic drums for memory. You see, what was the memory? It used what's called magnetic drums. What was the processor? The processor was vacuum tube. What was the year of existence between 1940s and 1950s? Okay. Uh, Let me wait my internet. Hopefully my internet will work. I'm just trying to check on the internet as I'm very careful. You're getting me loud and clear. Let me check on it again. Yani kutulia tu, hakuna haraka, hakuna haraka. Why are you guys in a rush? Mambo ni polepole tu. So we have also said that first generation computers were very expensive. Kwa mtihani utakuuliza what are some of the disadvantages of the first generation computers. So they were very expensive. They also generated a lot of heat. And we have said that as they generate a lot of heat, this made them prone to malfunction. Every time they were up and down, up and down. Okay. And examples of the first generation computers is the UNIVAC and ENIAC. What's UNIVAC in full? As a researcher, you should be able to define, because UNIVAC is just an acronym. What's UNIVAC in full? What is ENIAC in full? Mwenye ameulizia homework, that's the homework. Sawa. So we have said that the first generation computers, it was only electronic device and was the first to hold memory. Disadvantage is that this machine was very, very bulky. It occupied a lot of space, as you see in the picture. These vacuum tubes were prone to failure. They burn out frequently. They were producing a lot of heat. They were costly because of the maintenance problems. Then let us move to the second generation of computers between 1956 and 1969. Now, the processing changed from the vacuum tubes. Now we had a transistor. Okay, so in the second generations, they were using transistor instead of vacuum tubes. Then they were not using machine language. Now they were using what's called symbolic or assembly language. Now this led to the introduction of high level. We say high level language. This is human language, a language that a human being can understand. Example include COBOL and Fortran. These are some of the high level languages that this generation used. So they had a memory to store data. That is a brief description of the first generation. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages, merits, demerits, cons and pros? The cons of second generation computer is that size reduced considerably compared to the first generation. They were faster compared to first generation. They were much reliable than the first generation. So compared to say than the first generation. Disadvantages, also they overheated. They had issues with maintenance, right? What about the third generation members? Uh, from the first generation, the second generation were using transistors. Now the third generation, they had what's called IC, integrated circuit. IC. IC was smaller compared to transistors. Okay, and they were using what's called semiconductor or the circuitry or the silicon chip. Hizi vitu when in research, I go and find out what's a silicon chip, what's a semiconductor, what's an integrated. Mm. Unajua ukirudi ushago December unasema you see third generations were using integrated circuit on a semiconductor. Watu ushago wanasema hey bana, huyu jamaa kwani ameiva aje bana? Kwa sasa anaongea what is IC, what is a semiconductor. Sawa. Mm. So they were using what's called IC. They were using silicon chip or maybe a semiconductor. Sawa. Yeah. So third generations had keyboards, they had monitors, they had operating system. You see the changes? Sawa. You see the changes? And they led to what's called multiprocessing. Multiprocessing. Or what's called multitasking. This means that a computer was able to run more than one task at a go. Compared to first, second, where you had to run one program at a go, third generations enabled multitasking. Multitasking is the ability of a computer to run more than one task or one program at a go. Okay? Unafungua muziki, huku unasoma notes, huku uko YouTube, huku uko Twitter. That's what's called multitasking. That was introduced at the third generation. Okay? Hope kana flow, right? Unajua nawapeleka sijui wanasema nawapeleka mtara ama sijui I don't know what the language you use guys, but nataka ka flow. Hii naye kikupita now, it means that you don't deserve to be a university. Go and join that local polytechnic and do masonry, do tailoring. Hii kikupita, just go back, do tailoring hapo kwa polytechnic ya ushago. Wako kwa university mazee, hizi ni vitu unatakana ushikanishe. Unatakana ushikanishe, okay? So kama hii naye ikikupita mazee, hii computer generation ikikupita we kuisha mazee. Jaribu plumbing. Aya, tuendelee. Advantages of the third generations. Tumesema they were using IC, which made them to be smaller. Unajua kwa exam nikiona umeandika they were using IC which made them to be very smaller. Hiyo ni full mark. Kama ni 10 out of 10 you get 10 out of 10. Hapo na hakuna kubembelezana. Okay? They were improved performance because of what? The speed. IC is faster compared to transistors. Production cost was cheaper compared to the previous generations. Just one challenge is that these ICs are very sophisticated in nature. So it means that it used advanced technology to come up with an IC. Okay. What about the fourth generation? That is between 1971 up to now. We have hizo computers unaona kwa lab, kwa library, everywhere. Hizo ni fourth generation computers. Hata hiyo laptop uko nayo, that's a fourth generation computers. Kana flow, right? Hakuna kudiscourage hapo. Mimi nagonga na reality mazee. Kama ushikanishi hizi vitu za computer generations, jaribu tailoring, uko kutushonea nguo. Okay? Kwa sababu nao mbona ushikanishi? It means ulikuja university kupitia gate B ama gate A. No, we don't use abbreviations. Don't use abbreviations. Someone was calling me. Let me call. Okay. So fourth generations ziko na kitu inaitwa microprocessor. Microprocessor like tuko na Intel, Pentium, Core 3, Core 5, Core 7. You see? And it has what's called very large integrated circuit. Third generation, they had integrated circuit. But fourth generation, they had what's called very large integrated circuit. Okay? And this formed what's called now CPU, Central Processing Unit. We shall cover it maybe in the next session, okay? And under the fourth generation, we have the monitor, okay? Graphical unit displays, wireless mouse, wireless keyboard, smaller in size, very faster, multitasking and multiprocessing, okay? Very fast computing. Si unajua mimi sasa nawapeleka polepole. See, okay, Lex around, lecturer Dr. Barasa is around, but ameallow kuna watu wamekuja late, so ameniallow we do a recap, okay, so that yake kuja in akiwachapa na lesson 3 at least huku nyuma tumetengeneza mambo. Now tuko now the fifth generation, Gen Z. This is a Gen Z. This is a Gen Z computer, okay? This is a Gen Z computer, generation 5, a fifth generation, which is present and beyond. Functionalities of these Gen Z computers or the fifth generation is computers zikona more of AI, okay? More of artificial intelligence. Computer inaweza kusoma rada, iko na biometrics, ukiweka fingerprint, inaweza kuscan uso, ijue wewe ni wewe, inaweza kuchukua fingerprint, you see. Hii ni kompyuta unaweza ukaiambia ebu zima hizo light na ikazima. It's more of robotics. That's 5th generation. Okay, you can unlock your phone using your face. You can unlock your laptop using your fingerprint. You can talk to it in a natural language. Okay, unaweza ukatrain kompyuta kuiongelesha Kikalenjin, utrain kompyuta unaweza kuiongelesha Kikuyu, Kikamba ama Kiluya ama Kidigo. See, they have what's called natural language processing. These are very fast, large storage in terabytes. Like say 5th computer generation, they are very small. Unapata ka computer kana very small like a phone, but iko na storage ya 1 terabyte. Iko na RAM ya 56 GB. Small but very fast and very powerful and full of AI. That is the 5th generation computers. Someone saying my screen is not clear. Try to auto-rotate. Let me auto-rotate nione. Try to auto-rotate. So note down hizo vitu nimewashow manze. Note down on your notebook, revise during your free time. So let us move to lesson 2. That's lesson 1. Want us to move to lesson 2. Lesson 2 tulikava nini? Let me remember. Lesson 2, what did we cover in lesson 2? Yeah, I think we were defining computers, characteristics of computers, types of computers. You see, yeah, we were defining what's a computer. Unajua tunaenda lesson 3 na watu ujua what's a computer. Tunataja manyu kwa chat. Nebu define for me what's a computer. Nione mna define poa. Mwenye define poa number nikutumie. Mwenye define poa best number nikutumie please call me. Let me see. It's not visible. Let me try. Much I reduce font. Let me try and reduce font nione. Reduce font tuonekana kweli. But see, at least mnashikanisha kitu nafunza. I think I'll share these notes on the LMS after this. Ita nione Cherry Nando anasema computer is an electronic device that convert data into information. Peter Wekesa anasema is an electronic device that used to receive data, processing it and store it and process it with high accuracy, speed. Pesh Kirin anasema computer is an electronic device that accepts data, stores, it processes and give out information under a set of instructions. Mildred Ayuma anasema computer device that manipulate data into information. Linet Sonita anasema computers an electronic device that process data into required information. Yeah, Dansan Washali, right. Asil Mode, right. Felix Safail, right. Dennis Omutanyi, right. Deborah nao nasemaje? Yeah, you are almost right. Some of you, Jennifer Mukolwe, Faith Nali, Silas Juma, Joshua Diambo, Faith Nelima, Michelle Mandela, Cynthia Dominic, Faith Komei, Enoch Wafula, Lavarage Maniga, Juliet Kemuna. What? Oh, you have responded well. I can appreciate your interactivity. The chat's in ink, I cannot read all of it, but I appreciate for those who are trying to define what's a computer. It's a computer. So the key point is that a computer is an electronic device. That's the key thing. It's an electronic device that takes in raw data as input from the user and process it under the control of instructions. It produces the results and save it for the future use. Hiyo sasa ni ani definition imeenda shule maze. Definition imeenda shule. Okay? That a computer is an electronic device that takes in data as input and process it under the control of instructions. It produces a results and save it for the future use. Any definition imeenda shule. Some of the functions of the computer is that it takes in input, it processes, it stores and produces the output. So if we look at a very broad sense, any digital computers, for something to be called a computer, it should do this. Okay? For something to be called a computer, it must take data as input. It must store the data and the instructions in its memory and use them. A computer should be able to process the data and convert it into useful information. A computer should generate the output. Is your phone, can your smartphone be regarded as a computer? Let me ask, can your phone be regarded as a computer? We have said that a computer must take in data, stores the data or instructions in the memory, process the data and convert it into useful information, and generates the output. Anything that can do that, then that's regarded as a computer. Advantages of computers. They are very fast devices. It's capable of performing calculations of very large amount of data. I think when you are discussing advantages of a computer, I think the best approach we relate a computer to a human being. Okay, a computer is very fast, is capable of performing calculations of very large amount of data. It has units of a speed of microseconds. Some works in nanoseconds and even picoseconds. It can perform millions of calculations in a few seconds as compared to man, who maybe might spend many months to perform the same task. So the first advantage of a computer is the speed compared to human being. Okay? Another advantage of a computer is the accuracy. In addition of being very fast, these computers are very accurate. Ukiambiwa 11 times 30 utaandika chini kwanza ndio ufanye calculations, but a computer does it very fast. They are 100% error free. Okay, a computer is an error free devices. But remember, you feed a computer with the garbage, it will give you garbage. You feed a computer with the wrong data, it will give you wrong output. You feed a computer with the right information, it will give you the correct output. So a computer is 100% error free compared to human being. Although maybe we have issues with maybe the algorithm. If the algorithm that the computer is using is faulty, then it makes the computer faulty. Okay? So they are more accurate provided that the input is correct. Let us go to the storage. Memory is very important characteristics of a computer. Iko na computer iko na 100 GB, ingine iko na 500 GB, ingine iko na 1 terabyte, ingine iko na 2 terabyte. Yeah. So you see, it has very big storage and it can store and remember very huge amount of data compared to human beings, right? It can store large amount of data. It can store any type of data, like an image, a video. Can you store an image in your brain? Can you store a video in your brain? No. Can you store text or audio? No. But a computer can do that. Another advantage of a computer is the diligence. They are not biased. Computer itakwambia ati nimechoka. Computer itakwambia ati umenibo. Computer itakwambia najua nimeboeka. Computer itakwambia unajua niko na njaa. So they have much diligent compared to human being. So it's free from monotony, it's free from tiredness. So a computer can work 24 hours per day without being tired. Okay? It can perform repeated tasks with the same speed and accuracy. Okay? Unaweza kuiambia it plays a certain song a thousand times. Itakwambia unajua nimecheza hii song sana, imenibo. So it's an open device. Another advantage of a computer is versatility. Okay, it's what's called versatility. Versatility is being flexible in performing the jobs to be done. It can perform any job as much as being programmed. Okay, it might solve complex scientific problems, and also it's playing another thing again, more of multi-programming, multi-processing. So it's more versatile. Versatile is like it can perform different tasks. So hakuna ati computer ni ya game, hii computer ni ya kuwatch movie, hii computer ni ya play music, hii computer sijui ni. A computer provided you have programmed it, it can perform any task. So tunaweza kusema a computer is versatile. Right? Another thing is that computer is more reliable machine. They rarely fail. Computers rarely fail unless you mishandle it, right? And you can easily maintain your computer. Like the computer I'm using now, this computer I bought it in 2011. It is almost how many? 15 years. Yeah. Then we have the issues of automation. It's an automatic machine. Automation is the ability to perform given task automatically. Once the computer receives an instruction, the computer uses those instructions in the memory and they control the execution without human interaction. Okay? So unaonanga rocket, like a rocket, like aeroplanes. Inafikanga mahali aeroplane wanaeka autopilot. Okay? Ukiwa ukitaka kufly from Kenya to US, once the pilot has entered the skies, then the pilot now engage the computer to control the aeroplane, the navigations. Hata sasa tuko na smart cars, okay? Kama unaiambia tu, can you take me to Kandui? Can you take me to Webuye? Then it auto drive because it has instructions. Last but not least, also computers has led to reduction in paperwork. The use of computers for data processing in an organization has led to reduction of paperwork. Okay, as data in electronic files can be retrieved and as fast as they can. Okay, so although we have some costs, our computers are very expensive device compared to manual paperwork. So it has some initial investment. Okay, but once you acquire that computer, you see at a long run, you find that using a computer is cheaper than manual paperwork, right? Yeah. Disadvantages. A computer must be instructed. So aina IQ. Computer you must, it's just a tool. Ni kama vile unatumia nyundo, kama ama wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow haitaona mchanga hapo alafu iende ibebe mchanga ama matofali. Paka tu uisukume uende mchanga. So just like it's just a tool, right? So even a robot needs to be instructed what to do. Okay, so yeah, they don't have IQ. They don't have IQ. Mm. Aina intelligence. Okay, so you need to instruct a computer for a specific function. Mm. A computer cannot take any decision on its own unless you train it. Okay, hata rocket ama your plane ukiweka kwa autopilot, it is running, is running from instructions. So also it depends on human to operate. Also it's affected by the environment. Okay, haina feeling ama emotions. It cannot make judgments based on feeling, taste, experience. Okay, yeah. Calculator calculator inaweza custom, mtu anaweza kama calculator ni computer. Hebu jibu naliaka ameuliza ati hiyo calculator ako nayo ya FS sijakwanga FS 82, anauliza ati kama hiyo calculator ni computer. Someone to answer naliaka anauliza ati kama calculator hiyo scientific calculator ni computer. Hebu someone to give him a valid response. Is a calculator a computer? Someone to respond to naliaka. Are you paying homework? I think that is a homework. I like the response. What is a discussion topic? Yeah, I think let us be a discussion of the week. Can a calculator be regarded as a computer? 5 marks. Hey, you I think ndongea na leki ikuje kwa mtihani. Applications of computers in various fields. Applications for computers. Acha niangalie lek kama amejoin. Acha niangalie kama lek amejoin. Sawa tu kiasi tu. Computers are used in business for speed of calculations, diligence, accuracy, reliability, or versatility. Okay, so computers are used in payments, payroll, in budgeting, for sales analysis, to manage database, to maintain maintenance of stock. Okay, those are some of the computers also used in banking, in insurance. Like in banking, computers are used for accounting, checking current balance, making deposits, overdrafts, interest, shares. Okay, an ATM is a computer that makes banking easier. Okay, computers used in insurance companies to keeping records, starting dates of the policies, maturity, interest, survival bonus, whatever. Yeah, Computers are used in education, like now we are using a computer. So you said your phone is a computer. E-learning portal runs on a computer. Uh, so in education's computer is used in computer-based sessions, in control, delivery, and evolution of learning, online learning, right? Video conferencing, yeah, database, performance analysis. Computers are used in marketing, in advertising, okay, to create the adverts, the graphics, to print magazines, posters, flyers, okay. You can shop online on the Jumia, on the Kilimall, using a computer, right? Computer used in healthcare, okay. Sasa ukienda kwa every clinic kuna computer hapo. Hata ukienda kwa hospitali watakuuliza jina yako, place unatoka, ulipie, okay, to hold the patient's data and to diagnose diseases, the CT scans. Unaonanga kuna MRA, those are computers, CT scans, X-rays, ultrasounds, those are computers that are used in healthcare. They are used to diagnose diseases. They are used to monitor in ICUs, isn't it? Hata kwa incubators za watoto kuna computer that controls the temperature, the oxygen, ventilations. Computers are used to check drugs, expiry dates. Yeah. Computers are used in surgery. Hata siku hizi computer tu peke yake na kufanyia surgery without doctor interactions. Computers are used in engineering, computer aided design. The building you are in was using a computer. Okay. So in structural engineering, your gari unaendesha, it was designed by a computer. That building was designed by a computer. That aeroplane, that helicopter, it was designed by a computer. So it's used also in industrial engineering to design, to implement and improve integrated systems. They are used in architectural engineering to plan town, to kutengeneza maplans, to design buildings, to create the 2D and the 3D animations. Computers are used in the military, okay? Unaona sahii kuna vita ya Iraq na Amerika na Haiti. Unaona sijui kombora limetumwa kulipua mahali. Elon Musk ametuma space, ametuma rocket kwa space, that's being controlled by a computer. Have the CCTVs, the monitoring, the satellites that can monitor place, okay? So computers are used to control the military communications, smart weapons, okay? Computers are used in communications, kutuma email, hata sahii tunatumia computer kucommunicate, chatting, video conferencing. Hii question itakuja 10 marks, application of computer, and you need to mention all this. Don't just mention that computers are used in government. You see that you must say that a computer is used in government for budgeting, to calculate task, to calculate the number of citizens depending on the male, female, voters, IBC in weather forecasting, right? Yeah. Hizi generations tumesha mention. I think we have done enough. I think we of computers, huh? Classification. I think we need to mention about classification of computers. Back to my last. I think we mentioned about classification of computers. I think classification of computers. Let us have a look at about classification. Classification of computers. Or maybe we can say categories, computer categories or computer categories. What are some of the things that we can use to classify a computer? How can we classify a computer? Categories. How can we classify computers? What are some of the things we can use on the chart? How can we classify a computer? Under which metrics? According to size. Okay, someone has mentioned about size. Someone has mentioned about speed. Yeah, kumbe nyi wajamaa mnajua hizi mavitu, si ndio? Someone has mentioned about functions. That is functions. Nana me mention, let me just read the charts. Yeah. Someone has mentioned about, is the function the same as purpose? I hope so. Faith Mwema amesema speed. Melanie Chebet amesema about shape, functionality. Catherine amesema storage. Sarah, Felisa, Vitalis, Olivia, Belinda, Nahumicha, David. Functionality from Douglas Olubengo. Size, Dominic Mucha amesema according to size. Laventa, Justin, Esther, Sam, Kilwake, Edin, Mata Adiambo, Hilary, Aaron, Masi Angehi, Salome Chemtai, Damaris Kitui, Kelvin Kiplagat, Seraphine Akinyi, Brian Olumala, Eugene Ogech, Christine Bone, Gideon, Marion Wanchala, Catherine Kate again, Timothy Juma, William Yoya. Hey, muko wengi, thousands of chats members. Feel appreciated for the response. Wengi. Elias Owino, Shadrach Kepkemoi, Princess Jolly Queen, Aaron Nyongesa, Dennis Kibet, Sharon Kiliswa, Fanis Nawire. Yeah, wonderful. So sijui tutaanzia wapi? So those are some of the things that we can use to classify computers. Si ndio? Acha tupumzike kidogo. Unapumzika like just 2 minutes. You can have a break of 2 minutes and come back. Tuanze to classify computer kuanzia saa 3, sawa? Kuanzia saa 3 let us classify computers. So for those who can have a break, toka nje kidogo, punga hewa. Wakukunywa maji wakunywe, wakukunywa chai wakunywe.